Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Walsh, part of the customer engagement team here at myhrtoolkit. I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar. We've been running a series of sessions on different areas of the toolkit, which have all been very popular every Wednesday and Friday. And today, we're looking at the health and safety tools on the toolkit. Now, this will offer an insight into into what the health and safety tools are, why they're in the system, and how they were created. And hopefully we'll have time at the end for some of your questions and answers. So just a couple of notes on some housekeeping. So with the questions and answers box, so at the bottom of your screen is a Q&A box. Please feel free to add questions as we go. Obviously we can only deal with questions around today's subject and obviously not ones involving personal details. With the chat function, get involved with the chat, but please, if you do have any questions, please mark them in the Q&A. So on today's webinar, we have Simon Ross, who will be presenting. Simon is the sales and support team leader here at myhrtoolkit. He's very well experienced on all things toolkit related. So I'll now hand you over to Simon so he can begin.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks everybody for joining this afternoon. As Chris said, we're going to take you through the health and safety tools. So on the agenda today, we're going to look at the settings and what the health and safety representative and advisors roles are. We'll take a look at the actual tools themselves, so the accident book and the accident record. We're going to have a look at what welfare tags are, health and safety documents, and then also we'll look at the custom forms. Now, as Chris mentioned, we will have space at the end of the webinar for any questions that you may have. Feel free to use the chat feature if you want to drop us a message to say hi. If it's your first webinar with us, then you are very welcome. Please just drop us a message in the chat to say that that's your first webinar. But then also, if you have any questions regarding this webinar, then we request that you put those in the Q&A. Now, at the end, we will be advertising the next webinar in our series of training webinars. We run these on a Wednesday and a Friday. These are not the same as the topical webinars that have been running on Tuesdays and Thursdays. These are designed for anyone who is already using My HR Toolkit system and the particular features that we're covering, and whether you may be then looking to use those a little more or use them for the first time. But we will get going, and I am going to take you straight away into what the actual tools are within the system. So let me change my screen. So the health and safety tools, you can see these on your screen here. Of course, you won't be able to access these unless you have set up your health and safety settings. So as with everything else, we need to go into config because we're dealing with people's access rights, and this is all set in the user permissions area. So what we can do here, we're just going to search for an employee. I'll search for myself, and then we have the options that we can set up for health and safety. So you can give managers individual rights to manage the accident book and see the accident record. You can manage health and safety documents, the custom forms, and also the welfare tags. Now, there is also the health and safety representative. However, this feature doesn't give you access to any of the tools. What it does is this tells the system that you are going to receive all the health and safety notifications from the toolkit. So we select yes to all of these, and this is not like training manager or absence or anything like that, where you will be able to access these for just your employees. Once you're given access to health and safety tools, you can manage those for everybody. So we just click update. Now we are a health and safety representative. We have access to those tools. Just go back to management. We'll go back into the health and safety tools, and then we'll point out the advisor. So we have the space to put a health and safety advisor's details within the system. So this could be somebody who is in charge of health and safety in your company, or it could be an external advisor, whether that's provided through a HR company or a health and safety company specifically. So when you add these details, they will be flagged up in the emails that are generated to the representative if there is a RIDDOR indication in an accident report. You have the option at the bottom here to have these details flag up in every single representative email. So at the bottom of your email, it will say your health and safety advisor's details are, and then it will give these details. Now, if we go back to the tools, so we've got the accident record, the number of days since the last reported accident, and then also how many accident reports are currently awaiting completion or have not been closed completely. So the first place to go to is the accident book. So like a lot of the rest of the system, these tools are designed to help you record some of the information. So this will be health and safety information. You can record accidents here. It's going to help you get rid of some of your paperwork. It's not a health and safety system. It's just some tools to help you record. And here we have previously created accident reports. Now, for each report, we have the option to view that. We can edit the report, and then we have the option to delete that. However, if you click delete, you do have to add some reasoning into this text box as to why you actually want to delete that report. You can then see any deleted reports, of course. You can also export all of this information straight to Excel. Now, because we are using data tables in the system now, you can filter these reports much easier. So you can filter on an injured person or a specific location or department within your company. And you can use any of these filters for that. But what we'll do, we're just going to create an accident report. So the first thing we have to do is we have to actually start typing in one of our employees' names. So once we do that, the search box will give us details of employees. We pick that person. We can see their emergency contact details. I'm quite happy that this is the person I want to create a report for. So we click this is the correct person, and then we get into the actual report itself. So we pick the date and the time of the accident. You can pick the location, so you can pick from any of the locations that you have in your system, or you can pick an other location, which then gives you a free text box. So we're just going to pick one of our locations. You can pick a department. Of course, you can only pick from the departments that you have listed in the system because you can only report accidents for employees that you have on your toolkit. Now we have to add a description into here. The system will not let us go forward and create any the rest of this report without adding some information here. So I'm just going to put that this person had a slip. And what we got then is the option to drag and drop some images. So you can add photos into the report, up to 10 at once. They have to be 5 megabytes or smaller. And as I say, you just drag and drop those into here, or you can click on this shaded area, which you'll be able to upload them like you would with any other website. So continue to the next section. Now we have our RIDDOR assessment. So you can select any of the options here. You can select none of the below, or you can select multiples. If you select any of these, of course, that means that there's a RIDDOR indication in this accident report that will specifically flag up to your health and safety representative. You got the impact. So has the employee been able to perform their normal work duties, or have they been off work for 7 consecutive days or more? Obviously, yes or no. If you have chosen a date of the accident within the last 7 days, you get this third option as well. So we're just going to select that. And then we've got our treatments. So who treated that employee? Did they treat themselves? Was it a colleague? Was it a first aider? Were they sent to the hospital? Again, you can select none. And then was there any absence? So if you say yes, yes, there was absence. Are they back to work now? Yes. We can then say how many days absent they had, how many days absence they had. You got a little confirmation, of course. You can have the option to print the report after you've created it. But what we'll do, we're just going to click create report. And as long as all the information has been filled in there, the system will create that report. We can see that at the top, It's highlighted in white. All these other reports that are highlighted in this kind of orangey color mean that they are more than 2 weeks old. So what we want to do is just want to check this report. So again, I can click to view the report, and the system takes us straight back into there. We can see that we have the option at the top here to edit, print. We can also lock that report. If we choose to lock this, that means that it's no longer available to edit, and that is a closed report then. So we just check all our details. We're quite happy with these. We can then go back to so if we click edit, then of course we can edit that report. Then we can go back to our accident report list. Okay, so that's reporting an accident. What we'll take you through next are the welfare tags. So we've created the ability to flag up anybody who may need more assistance in the workplace or may need more closer monitoring. So we have 4 tags. You've got a lone worker, a pregnant worker, a returning mother, and then also a young worker. Now you can add any number of tags for people. They'll be in one of 3 states. So a grey tag shows a tag that has a start and end date in the past. The red tags, of course, are tags that are currently active. And then if you set a tag for the future, that will be black, which says that it has a start date in the future. As you can see from hovering over these tags, you get a little description of those. If you click them, you can then change any of the details. You can change that tag. You can add any comments in there. You can delete these as well, or you can update that and save that. You can see an employee's tag history. So if they've had multiple tags, if they've changed at all, if you click on that, you'll just see any changes that were made. But these tags don't only show up in the health and safety tools. They do show up on an employee's file. So if we just pick our employee that we just created a report for, you can see on the summary page here, we have a history of that employee's tags. We can add more welfare tags to that employee's file if we'd like to. But they also show up in your sickness absence history, and then also the appraisal history for those employees, because of course these may be factors to take into account when looking at an employee's appraisals or their absence history. So we'll just go back to management. We'll go back into the health and safety tools. We've covered the welfare tags. We'll look at the extension to the document library. So we've added 2 extra areas in here. They're the same as all the other areas that you get in the system, just health and safety options. So you've got a team documents area. So here we can upload company or team health and safety documents. We can choose any employees that we want to make that available to. You then get the tracking like you do for the rest of the company documents in the system of who sent that and when they sent it, and then when the employee opened that document, and also when they confirmed they'd read and understood that as well. Now, if we go into the individual documents for health and safety, this works quite similar to the miscellaneous area. So here you can upload health and safety documents to an employee's files. You can create expiring reminders for each of these documents, and then also you have the option to create categories. So as you can see here, we've got no category or a forklift license. It could be a food hygiene certificate or anything like that that you want to store here, and you can then upload documents against those categories. To create a new category, just simply click the link here. Now, if we go back into the health and safety tools, the last area that we'll look at are the custom forms. So what we've given you here is a drag and drop form builder, the ability to create your own forms within the system. So what we'll do, we'll just go into, I'm going to add a form, and it's, as I said, it's a very simple drag and drop form builder. You can add a title in the description. You can choose who gets notified when these forms are filled in, and then you've got this option here. So you can allow multiple submissions or not. If you say, yes, I want to allow multiple submissions, what happens if an employee fills that form in, say, 5 times, there will be a new form entry for or a new record for every time that employee fills the form in. However, if you select no, what happens is the previous entry gets updated. Of course, you can see a history of that, but there only is ever one submission per form per employee. Now, the builder itself is quite easy to use. Just drag and drop your various elements into here. For each of these, you can edit them. So you can edit your title. You can make it a required field. You can add a help area as well. So as you hover over that, you can see the text that you put in. You can change the name of the placeholder. And of course, as it's a text box, you can change the number of rows. As you go through your form, you're happy with that, you just click add form and that will create the new form. If you don't like the way it looks, you don't like how it's set out, just click reset form and that will clear the entire form, ready for you to start again. Now, once we create our forms, we have to enable them, and they aren't available to anyone to fill in unless you enable those. Now, once you do enable a form, if an employee fills that form in, you can no longer delete that from the system. All you can do is turn that form off, so you can disable it, but your delete option, as you can see here, is not available for those forms. Now, we can edit all of our forms as you can with the accident book. We can view any submissions that have been sent through by employees. So if we click that, we can see the 2 submissions here. If I click on the submission, we'll get the details of what was added in that form as well. For each of these, if an employee has filled this form in multiple times, we'll be able to see the form submission history. So as we can see here, we can see the 3 times that I have previously filled that form in. And then we have the option to archive that submission. Now, you do have the option if you update your form. So if I go in and edit a form and change some fields and I click add form, that then records within the system that I've changed it. And if we click show form history, you can see that actually I've made quite a few changes to this form. As you click those, you'll see the details of any changes that were made on the screen. I've changed this numerous times in demonstrations, and as you can see that. But that will show you any previous changes that you made to your forms. Now, we've created our form, we've enabled it for employees. So how do they access these forms? It's quite simple. In My Home, once you have created the forms and you've enabled at least one, employees get this custom forms tab. They don't see this until the forms are enabled. So if we go into there, we can see the forms that we created and enabled. And what we'll do, we'll have a look at this cost risk assessment. So if I click fill in the form appears on the screen. We've got some text that we've added in beforehand. We've got the option to print that as well, because of course, if this is a risk assessment or anything like that, these are not always done sat at your computer at your desk. So you can print the form, you can go to another workstation, fill that form in, and then you can come back and you can add those details to our actual form. We can see all the details that we added in our hover over text. We can see that these are mandatory fields when filling in the form as well. And then of course, once an employee fills that in and they click submit, then the health and safety representative and their controllers or managers are notified, again, depending on who you choose to be notified about that within the system. Okay, so those are the health and safety tools. As I mentioned, it's not a health and safety system, it's just some tools to help you record your health and safety information within the system. They were created in collaboration with the health and safety department, so they're all past health and safety inspection. And as you can see here, as we created that report, we've now got 0 days since the last report was created.